What I've always held close to my heart is how Descendants of Zombies has always had this way of making us feel a part of something truly special. It's made us feel connected, a part of a story that we never wanted to seem to be over. It was really a beautiful experience for me to have the chance to kind of live through because of all of you, because you are forever and always what made all of this possible and really everything happened for me in the way that it did. Because of you, I had the chance to sit here every morning with my window open while the birds began to chirp and share my story about how I became a fan, which I know was only ever made possible because girls used to show up at my door every year on Halloween dressed up as their favorite character. No matter who their favorite character was, I drew a great deal of inspiration away from them. It may have taken me quite some time to narrow it down to who they were after they thought I was such a loser, but they gave me so much inspiration to create something so special. Said, hey, Jonathan Clarke, stop being a loser. Create a Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel for us so we can go home, subscribe to your channel, and have so much fun. And they got what they wanted. And you guys now, as a result of that, will have me for the rest of your life helping you make sense of everything happening around Descendants of Zombies, regardless if it's the generation of old or the generation of new. We just have to keep moving forward. And I know that may be very difficult for a lot of people to kind of come to terms with because years ago, I never wanted to say goodbye to the original Power Rangers because from 1993 up until at least 1997, the original Power Rangers were always some of my favorites. Of course, Jason David Frank, Austin St. John, Amy Jo Johnson playing the pink, the red, and the white Rangers were some of my all-time favorites. And they changed up the cast. They changed up the Power Rangers gimmick so much from, of course, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to Alien Rangers to Dino Rangers to this or to that. So I never really was into the Power Rangers as much, and I kind of fell out of what something was that I once loved so much. So I can kind of understand what being a fan of Descendants of Zombies meant to so much to all of you because it made you feel a part of something truly special. It obviously made you connected to a story that you never wanted to say goodbye to because you believed at some point this story could have a chance of continuing, premiering a brand new chapter, a chapter that we all would take something so special away from. There truly was something so special to take away from a love story between Mal and Ben, because Mal and Ben's story was really the first love story that represented this story in such a powerful way. And in such a dramatic way too, because Mal was a character who was simply just trying to find her place in Oregon, really trying to figure all of this stuff out. And she was so young. She was really coming of age. She was really coming into her own. That was the thing that made the first Descendants movie so special, was how the story was of her really coming of age. When she first had the opportunity to play Mal, of course she was a bit older than what some people are who get their first ever opportunities with Disney. She was a lot older than what Hayden Panettiere was. Because when Hayden Panettiere first came into Disney, Hayden Panettiere was 6 years old, and she was the voice of Dot in the Bugs Life movie from Pixar and Disney. That was one of Disney's most successful animated features from at least 1998 up until the turn of the millennium, which happened in the year 2000. We talk about the post-Renaissance era quite often here on this show. And the reason why we talk about the post-Renaissance era is because if never for that era, people like Hayden Panettiere would have never had the opportunity to really make names for themselves in this industry or make things possible in the way that she did for people like Kylie Cantrell and Dove Cameron to become up-and-coming names in this industry and leave forever lasting impressions on the hearts of really millions of people. I will forever miss some people that we've lost recently over at least the last 5 years. You know, what happened over this past weekend with the loss of Hayden Panettiere kind of made me reflect on Cameron Boyce, and I will have more to say on this coming up tonight. But when we lost Cameron Boyce over 7 years ago, it really brought this community that much closer together because people felt more relatable and more original than ever before. People really felt like they had known each other for their entire lives. And that's what I remembered so much about the loss of Cameron Boyce, where that people began to feel like they had known each other for their entire lives. And I think that's a feeling we all kind of want to come upon and really discover because when we have the chance to experience that, it makes how we feel about Descendants and Zombies worth it at the end of every single conversation and really at the end of every single day. I think that Descendants and Zombies really became the first franchise to do the things that it could do because of just how not only the story was original and relatable, but because of how people saw themselves through the eyes of their favorite character, regardless of who their favorite character may have been. I remember when The Rise of Red first premiered, ultimately everybody chose Bridget as their favorite character. And why do you think that was? It was because Bridget was the most original and relatable character that Descendants could have ever had. I mean, she was just so genuinely sweet. She was so genuinely kind. And there were so many people who took something genuine away from all of her characteristics that all kind of came together and created just one admirable character that we drew so much inspiration away from. She could not only sing and dance, but she could also really help people make sense of everything that may have been going on in their own lives, because we remember her character for having to endure a lot of bullying, which is something we all have to go through. I think there is never a single person in high school, no matter if they admit to it or not, that had to endure with a lot of bullying. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who have felt more encouraged than ever before to really state the facts and really state the obvious because of what they saw Bridget go through. There are more people standing up on YouTube every day, encouraged to feel more proud to say, hey, this is what I went through, but this is how I'm dealing with it, and this is how I'm becoming a stronger person. I see this every single day with people who upload videos, even people who have subscribed to this YouTube channel, and I commend you for that because people don't really seem to understand how difficult that is for people to really do, for people to really be open-minded about everything that happens to them on an everyday basis. There are people who are faced with so many challenges, and they were able to kind of overcome those challenges they may have been faced with along the way because of the incentive and the encouragement that all of their favorite characters have really presented them with. And I want to say thank you to the cast of Descendants, especially this new generation, for being the strongest cast that we could have ever had the chance to bear witness to, kind of usher in. I have no idea what this new cast is going to offer us, but I'm sure it's going to be something just as special. And I want to say thank you to all of you for just being so proud of who you are and feeling more confident in your own space, because being more confident in your own space really is what's going to allow you to really achieve all of your dreams and all of your goals that you have ever set for yourself along the way. Because I think what a character like Bridget kind of helped us really put into perspective is just how difficult it is for people to be nice to everybody, even with how cruel sometimes people are to each other in return, because not everybody feels the same way. So I think what the character Bridget really allowed us to kind of put into perspective is just how hard it is for everybody to be nice to each other, and sometimes how many challenges that can present along the way. But ultimately, it's made us stronger individuals and left us feeling more inspired than ever before. And I just have so much respect for everybody who have only ever known to be the one person they've always wanted to be, and that was themselves. Because I remember when I first created this podcast, what I wanted to do was be both original and relatable. And I had no idea if I would ever follow through on that commitment of being both original and relatable. But it was something I had the chance to do because I could sit here and really experience every emotion in the book, every fairy tale that I may have been a fan of from my childhood, from Beauty and the Beast to 101 Dalmatians to The Little Mermaid to Sleeping Beauty, which I still have the 50 through 75th anniversary editions of on DVD, because they've always held a very special place in my heart. I would be lying to you guys if I told you that Sleeping Beauty was a classic that never held a special place in my heart. It may have been the simplest story ever told about how a girl on her 16th birthday would prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel only to fall into a deep slumber, only to be awoken by true love's kiss 75 minutes later. But 75 and a half minutes later, you took away that greater appreciation for just how beautiful this story was. I remember how Sleeping Beauty was criticized for everything, from its original plot to the character schemes to the outfits the characters wore to the script, how the script was kind of laid out. It was a very difficult script for people to kind of try to make sense of, but it was never really difficult to begin with because it was a story themed around how one finds true love through the power of true love's kiss, and how you awaken from slumbers just to discover something so much more powerful and so much more relatable than probably many people ever chose to admit to. And I think more people are waking up from their own slumbers now and realizing just how critical of a role of that generation Sleeping Beauty had. Because from 1957 to 1960, Disney was really pumping out and coming out with really original and relatable content like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Bambi, The Fox and the Hound. They were beautiful stories that were based off friendship, how a fox and a hound just wanted to be friends for their entire lives and really help everybody see everything through. And they had the chance to do that. One of the most relatable cartoons of this generation years later is Bluey. And Bluey is a show that many people never give enough credit to for just how much of a profound impact it has on the hearts of many of your favorites. Meg Donnelly is a huge fan of Bluey, and it doesn't really take a degree in rocket science to figure out why she's a huge fan of Bluey. It's because Bluey is both original and relatable, and Bluey is just so appreciative of everything that she surrounds herself with. The things she surrounds herself with, the people who are part of her life, even her family members, Bingo and Mom and Dad, create such a beautiful story that really allows people to kind of shut out the negativity that we see sometimes that we surround ourselves with. Because just like this past weekend, this past Sunday morning, we woke up to a news bulletin that had been posted about how Hayden Panettiere had passed away. And then what everybody did, what was so amazing about when Hayden Panettiere had passed away, Everybody just came together out of love and support for each other. People were leaving the kindest messages for each other out of love and support because we were going through a really rough time, especially fans of the post-Renaissance era, because in the post-Renaissance era, we first became introduced to her, and that was only over 25 years ago. And I remember her being really young in this industry. She wasn't one of those people that had to audition. She was somebody who had a perk. Of course, she had the help of her family. Her mom was very influential in her career. Now, it's just a shame that she doesn't have as great of a relationship with her mom that she had years ago, but she's obviously closer with her dad. But I remember her mom playing a very critical role in everything that she had happen for her. And then, of course, everything happened for her and her mom the way that it did. But ultimately, it gave us a greater appreciation for who she was as a person, everything she had to endure, everything she had to go through. And I think that when we reflect upon her life, she left us with more memories than probably she's ever going to be given credit for. I remember some of her finest work coming from Nashville and how upset she was that they had to write her off of Nashville because she had to go away for some personal reasons. And nobody really wanted to let go of her because of how much her character on that show offered her. I remember watching, I think, every episode of Nashville because she gave me so much to really feel inspired about. And then we think about Kylie Cantrell and her future. I would love to believe that 15, 20 years from now, Kylie Cantrell is really going to give us something to feel more inspired about than ever before. The reason why I do what I do, and every year on the passing of Cameron Boyce, we honor Cameron Boyce's legacy. We'll do the same for Hayden Panettiere. We'll do the same thing for Davy Chase every year. Is because I never want their legacies to be forgotten. Because I've always had this problem with, being forgotten about, kind of just fading off. And I never wanted to be forgotten. I always wanted to be remembered for my contributions, no matter how little or how huge my contributions would have been, truly unforgettable. No matter if they're unforgettable or not, I have never wanted to be forgotten, and I just wanted to be remembered as possibly a Disney legend in your eyes. If anything, I've never cared if Disney ever honors me, but I do care if you guys honor me as one of the most relatable voices for creating both original and relatable content for all of you every single time that I may have ever pushed record. I know that we've come upon so many ups and downs on our truly unforgettable roller coaster ride that has seen its fair share of ups and downs along the way, but it's nothing that we can never see through. And how we saw those through were really because of all of us kind of coming together and forever endlessly supporting the characters and the stories we've loved so much. Either tales as old as time, such as Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and Aladdin, which were some of my all-time favorites from the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection, or stories of the new, like Descendants of Zombies, which were some of the most original and relatable stories ever written or ever comprised. And we talk about revered power couples of this generation. Obviously, some of the top power couples would have to be Red and Louise or Zed and Addison, and obviously S. Victor and Nova in time, because what's so precious about Victor and Nova's stories is going to take time to develop, to really reveal. Because what are their greater purposes? Are they just going to fall in love with each other and live happily ever after? Or is there a greater destiny for them to achieve and really discover along the way? I think it's going to be a very passionate destiny and really history that we are setting ourselves up to be a part of. I know that the forecast release window is suggesting somewhere between the summer of 2027 and beyond for this one to kind of fall into Disney's lap. And I think that when it falls into Disney's lap, it is going to be something that a lot of people are really going to take some great deal of inspiration and incentive away from. We are kind of getting our first glimpse into a character named Pearl. She just recently posted an interview where she said that she just chooses to see the good in everybody, and what makes the Pearl character so special is while she's a mermaid, all she's ever wanted to do is protect herself and her family because her family means more to her than ever before or really anything. So there's nothing that the character Pearl won't do to preserve and protect the people that she loves most. So that really is going to help define this brand new character who we are going to become introduced to in Zombies 5 for the first time ever, along with countless others who just have a story to share with the world. And I think we can kind of come to terms with that and be more acceptant of these new characters and their brand new stories, because years ago we never wanted the original Descendants story to end. So we just wanted to keep the original story going with the original core four, Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos. We would have been fine with that. What we wanted to see happen were more stories, more chapters than ever before. So people took took to YouTube, and what they did when they took to YouTube was they started uploading original stories that they thought these characters could be a part of, and that again is what made this story so special. Is that when they took to YouTube and started writing their own original stories, these stories became more relatable than probably ever before, and that to me really spoke volumes. It really, put into perspective just how much of a longevity people wanted these stories to have, and just how much of a special place in the hearts of millions of people these stories will continue to hold really through the generations. And I just want to put it out there that I really do think that some of you are some of the most talented people that I think I've ever bear witness to. Some of you can create some of the most original and relatable content, and probably far better content than I could ever create. Because when the story concluded from the original core four, people began writing their own stories through techstories.com. And they started uploading videos on YouTube. They would go on to get millions of views. And that was really cool and really authentic that you could actually do that. You could create your own version of these stories and just show how much further you wanted to take these stories. And in return, you had such a huge response from this community that truly came together and really allowed you to be a part of something truly special that really helped define your legacy as a fan of Descendants and Zombies. Having said all of this, thank you so much for having joined me this morning on what's been an incredible few shows that we've uploaded and had the chance to experience. I will be back later on tonight with a brand new video for you guys to be a part of. Thank you so much from my heart to yours for always having a very special place in your heart for all of these wonderful videos that were both original and relatable. Don't forget to hit my subscribe and my like button, because these are conversations that I would love for you to be a part of more than anything else in this world, because we have so much to get to in the way of a conversation. We have the future of not only Descendants 6 to talk about, because we have so much further to take this story, but we also have the future of Zombies 5 that could detail a whole lot more than ever before, as we get our glimpse for the first time ever into some of these brand new characters that still have so much of a story to be offered and for us really to experience. And I just can't wait to be a part of it really with all of you. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for always having chosen this YouTube channel, having made it your favorite, and always having the time to have watched and appreciated all of these videos. I will see you guys next time in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come along with me on what I promise you will be truly an unforgettable journey that many of you will have a special place in your heart for many years to come. Thank you so much for having watched and appreciated all of these videos.